The sirens were everywhere. They echoed through the night, bouncing off buildings, cutting through the air like knives. Helicopters circled above, their lights sweeping across streets and rooftops. Police cars blocked every road leading out of the city. On every screen in America, the same face appeared again and again, and the words under that face were impossible to ignore. America's most hunted criminal. The man in the photo did not look like a monster. He looked ordinary. And that was the most shocking part of all. As officers closed in on an abandoned warehouse at the edge of town, no one watching the live news coverage could believe what they were seeing. This man, this fugitive, had once been a quiet kid from a small town where everyone knew his name, a place with one high school, one grocery store, and long empty roads. Now the entire country was searching for him. Inside the warehouse, the man stood still, listening. He could hear boots on gravel, radios crackling, dogs barking in the distance. He knew this moment would come one day, but knowing did not make it easier. His name was Ethan Walker, and this was how his story was about to end, or so everyone believed. But to understand how a small-town kid became the most hunted criminal in America, we have to go back, long before the sirens, before the helicopters, before his face filled every screen in the nation. Ethan grew up in a town so small that nothing ever seemed to happen there. People left their doors unlocked. Kids rode bikes until the streetlights came on. Teachers knew families by name. Trouble was rare, and when it happened, everyone talked about it for weeks. Ethan was quiet. Not strange, just quiet. He did well in school. He helped his neighbors. He played outside like everyone else. If you asked anyone back then, they would tell you the same thing. He's a good kid. But Ethan felt different inside. He felt stuck. His town felt like a cage. Every road led out, but none of them seemed meant for him. He watched older kids leave for college or jobs in big cities, and he stayed behind. Money was tight at home. His parents worked hard but barely got by. Dreams felt expensive. As he grew older, frustration followed him everywhere. He wanted more. More money. More control. More respect. That hunger sat quietly inside him for years. After high school, Ethan worked small jobs. Gas station. Warehouse. Construction. Nothing lasted. He watched life pass him by while others moved forward. Then one bad choice changed everything. It started small. A friend offered him a way to make quick money. Not illegal, at least not at first. Just bending rules. Just shortcuts. Ethan told himself it was temporary. But shortcuts have a way of pulling people deeper. Soon, Ethan was meeting new people. Older people. Smarter people. People who talked about plans, risks, and rewards. They made him feel important. They made him feel seen. And they showed him how to cross lines. The first crime Ethan took part in barely made the news. No one was hurt. He told himself it didn't matter. He told himself he could stop anytime. But he didn't stop. Each step made the next one easier. The crimes became bigger, smarter, more dangerous. Ethan learned quickly. He learned how police worked, how investigations moved, how people made mistakes. And then came the crime that changed everything. It happened fast. Too fast. One moment turned into chaos. Someone got hurt. Evidence was left behind. Witnesses saw enough. When the news broke, Ethan's hometown was shaken. They couldn't believe it was him. Parents locked their doors for the first time. Teachers whispered. Friends stopped answering calls. His family watched the news in silence, unable to understand how their quiet son had become the center of a national investigation. The FBI got involved. Ethan's face went public. And just like that, the small-town kid disappeared. Ethan ran, but not in panic. He planned. He changed his look. He changed his name. He learned how to move without being noticed. He stayed in places where no one asked questions. Big cities, busy highways, anonymous crowds. As the manhunt grew, so did his reputation. Every time he escaped capture, the story grew darker, more dangerous. The media called him clever. The public called him terrifying. Law enforcement called him a priority. America called him hunted. Ethan watched all of this from the shadows. He followed the news. He studied what people said about him. He learned from every mistake, his own and the police's. Years passed. New crimes were linked to him. New victims. New fear. The FBI expanded the search. His face aged on wanted posters. Rewards grew larger. Tips flooded in. But Ethan stayed free. Until one small detail went wrong. A phone call. A camera. A moment of bad timing. Something finally pointed investigators to the edge of that city. To that warehouse. To this night. As police surrounded the building, Ethan knew there were no more exits. The kid from the small town was gone. In his place stood the most hunted criminal in America. And as the door creaked open and flashlights cut through the dark, one question filled every mind watching across the country. How did it ever come to this? That answer, how Ethan fell, how the hunt nearly failed, and what the country learned from chasing him, was only beginning to unfold. And it would change everything. The boy everyone remembered from the small town was gone. The man who replaced him was someone America feared. By the time the FBI officially named him one of the most hunted criminals in the country, his face was everywhere. News channels ran his photo all day. Police stations taped his picture to their walls. His name was spoken in homes across the nation. But this was not how his story started. Before the sirens, before the manhunt, before the country knew his name, he was just Evan Miller, a kid from a quiet town where nothing ever seemed to happen. Evan grew up in a place where neighbors waved, doors were rarely locked, and everyone knew everyone. His parents worked hard. They were not rich, but they cared. Evan went to school, played outside, and dreamed simple dreams. At first, nothing about him seemed dangerous. But as Evan grew older, small cracks began to show. He felt invisible. He felt small. He felt angry, even when he didn't know why. Teachers noticed he stopped trying. Friends noticed he pulled away. At home, arguments became common. Evan felt like the world had decided who he was, and he hated that version of himself. Then came the moment that changed his path. A bad choice. One night, one decision, one step too far. Evan got involved with the wrong people. At first, it felt exciting. They noticed him. They listened. They made him feel powerful in a way he never had before. Small crimes came first. Nothing big. Nothing that made headlines. Evan told himself it didn't matter. But it did. Each step made the next one easier. Soon, the crimes grew worse. Smarter. More dangerous. Evan learned how to plan, how to hide, how to run. He stopped being scared. Fear turned into confidence, and confidence turned into recklessness. When the crime that shocked the nation finally happened, it was fast and violent. Police arrived too late. Evidence pointed in one direction. Evan Miller, the small-town kid, was gone for good. The FBI stepped in. His face was added to watch lists, then to wanted lists, then to America's most wanted. Evan ran. He did not hide in forests or deserts. He did not leave the country. Instead, he did something far more dangerous. He moved through normal life. He changed his hair. He changed his name. He learned how to disappear without vanishing. While the FBI chased him across states, Evan watched the news from motel rooms. He memorized his own face on TV. He studied what agents said about him and adjusted his moves. Each close call made him smarter. Each escape made him bolder. But life on the run is never calm. Evan slept lightly. He trusted no one. Every police car made his heart pound. Every knock made him freeze. Years passed. The manhunt grew larger. Tips poured in. Some were real. Most were wrong. Evan became a shadow everyone chased, but no one could grab. Then came the mistake. It was small, almost harmless. A moment when Evan believed he was safe. He spoke to someone he should not have trusted. That person did not know who he really was at first. But something felt off. A name didn't match. A story changed. A detail didn't line up. One phone call was made. The FBI listened. Agents moved quietly. They followed trails. They checked records. They waited. They needed to be sure. Evan felt it before he saw it. The air felt wrong. The streets felt too quiet. The looks felt too long. He packed his things, ready to run again. But this time, there was nowhere left to go. As Evan stood at the edge of his escape, blue lights flashed behind him. Sirens broke the silence. Doors slammed. Guns were raised. The chase was over. Or so everyone thought. Because what Evan would do next, what he would say, what he would refuse to say, and how his capture would expose deep failures in the system, would turn this case into something far bigger than one man. And that is where the story reaches its most dangerous point.